Welcome to the Professional Lovers Channel. I'm Al.
And I'm Patty, and we're the Professional Lovers. Married 27 years, and throughout that time have been blessed to be able to facilitate relationships with other couples. So if you are interested in having the best relationship you can have, then we think that you're in the right place. Not that we're experts, but I think we definitely have some things to share with you. And we do this through the perspective of Married at First Sight. And yay, it's back. The official season opening is not for another 2 weeks, but you know, they started with their lead up, their lead in tonight, and with their matchmaking special. So we're not going to talk about too much because we've got a new feature this season, season 12. We had another group of Married at First Sight fans who talk about Married at First Sight like we do. A threesome, a group called Cup of Three. And we're going to do a little bit of collaborating this season where we're going to go on their show and talk with them and air it on our channel. So I think we're supposed to be talking about the matchmaking special as well. But we're going to do a little bit of our own. And then, you know, in talking with them, it will bring some other perspectives. And so that's one new feature that we're going to have for you this season. But we're ready to get started.
Definitely.
Right? So if you watch the matchmaking special, you saw the process that they always go through. Now, in past seasons, and I kind of want to start here, we always talk about whether or not the experts really did well at their jobs.
True. Vetting.
And I thought it was interesting that one of them said that they do try to ascertain the motivations of singles wanting to get married at first sight.
Yeah.
And that kind of turned a little light on in my head, because while they say that, sometimes it doesn't seem like they get the true motivation.
True. Or if that was necessarily something that they looked for, what the motivation was of the individuals who wanted to be part of this process.
And it kind of shows that, for instance, I automatically go back to season 11. Who was the quirky girl?
Season 11, quirky girl. Like
who married the quirky guy?
Yeah.
But
New Orleans.
Yeah, but okay, yes, I forgot her name. What is her name? I have my notebook right here. Let me take a look. It was Amelia.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Emmett.
Yes. No, Amelia and Bennett.
Bennett.
Almost. Bennett. But yes, Amelia, and my mind automatically goes back to Amelia, who said, I got on the show because I thought it would be fun to be on TV. And I really wasn't thinking I was ready for marriage.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows you that even though the expert's intent is to get the nitty gritty, find out all about them through all the interviews and the home visits and the battery of tests that they do, they're really only getting what each individual wants them to get.
Yeah.
And you don't really know if the person is actually just saying the right thing or saying what they think you want to hear.
Exactly.
And no, they can't hide themselves completely, but inevitably, a lot of that comes out in the process of the 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's a limit to what the experts can
officially do.
Right. Or find out about the singles. And so I think that's something that we have to keep in mind. You know, they're human as well. And even though they're experts, obviously, how they do what they do is not
It's not science.
Always successful. But it is kind of scientific. That's what they're trying to do. By matching interests and matching, right.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. It's not cut and dry.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's, they do the best that they can.
Yeah. But when I say it's not science, it's not like dealing with, particular elements that when you put them together, they.
Right.
Yeah. Cause and effect.
Right. So, first off, in general, how do you feel about this season's crop of people before we start to talk about them individually as compared to last season's crop of people?
Well, pretty much the same. I mean, you kind of run the gamut from, one extreme of you just don't think that they're necessarily the marrying kind,
mm-hmm.
to someone who's committed and you just have a good feeling about it, and you think and you believe, according to what you're seeing and what you're hearing, that can be a good person to be married to. Now again, it's couples. It's not just one individual, because right now they're still all individuals.
Right.
And they bring their qualities and so on and so forth. But then it becomes the interaction of the professionals in pairing individuals and seeing how compatible and how matched they are for each other.
Well, for me, I saw more or felt more red flags last season.
Mm-hmm. In the beginning?
And with the individuals and the couple pairings, but the individuals and what it appeared they would be bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Than I do this season.
Well, likewise, and I guess I put it in the framework or wording of I feel less anxious, or I have less anxiety.
Yeah, I only have one major red flag this season, where I had several last season.
Yeah, we pretty much have the same red flag.
So, but I think we're starting off on a seemingly more stable foundation.
Yeah.
With this crop, in my estimation.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're bringing a little more diversity.
Right, we had the first divorcee.
Yeah.
Who's being married at first sight, mm-hmm. and then the first interracial couple being put together on Married at First Sight. So,
actually, I think there's going to be two.
Two what?
Interracial couples.
Well, who's that?
Well, we'll talk about it when we get to it.
Okay, because I'm stumped. Are you stumped? I'm stumped based on what we saw. But anyway.
Well, because I think one individual is Hispanic.
Okay, well, you want to start there? Who's the second interracial couple?
Nice guy in chocolate.
Oh, Brianna and Vincent.
Yeah.
Do you think Vincent is Hispanic?
I do.
Okay.
So I think black and Hispanic and mixed, or biracial, and
white.
A white girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see if you're right. I didn't get that, but
I'm from the Bronx, so
we'll see. We'll see.
I hope that means something.
I was gonna say, is that a stereotypical type of comment?
Yeah, we say that there's more Puerto Ricans in the Bronx than there is in Puerto Rico, so that's what we say.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to just start there with Vincent and Brianna.
Okay.
I was kind of surprised at that pairing, because I was kind of thinking of Brianna being paired with Chris. But the experts put Brianna and Vincent together.
Yeah. And
hopefully his kind of nice, kind, calm, laid back demeanor, mm-hmm. which we saw last season with Miles. Mm-hmm. And then for her, Brianna, to describe herself as, not very open and slow with affection, it was like ringing bells again. Oh my goodness, here's another Karen.
Yeah.
But,
and in all actuality, I would not be surprised if it did not start off in a similar fashion.
Okay.
I would not be surprised.
Neither would I.
But I
Because
do
she's already
believe-
said that that's how she is.
Yeah, she's slow and deliberate and so on and so forth. And she's not very affectionate or displays. She doesn't display a lot of affection.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he is, he's an affectionate, touchy-feely type individual. And that's what he enjoys, you know. But again.
Yeah, so
you know.
there we have another similar type of pairing of
Differences.
not very open and affectionate to someone who's very affectionate. And I guess the things that I keyed in on how Brianna described herself, very picky. Wants a man who makes more money than she does. And even though he's an auto broker, is he at the level where he's making more money than an engineer? Don't know.
He stood in front of the right car.
Is it a problem that he's not a college degree person? Is she that kind of picky? So those are not things that the experts addressed in their discussion about the two, but those are the things that I'm thinking about, again, because she described herself as very picky. What does that mean?
Well, and I believe that both of them indicated that they were driven individuals. And because of the, I guess, degree and area of her profession being in engineering, she has to be driven. Whereas he was motivated to be in the best of whatever field he was in. And so he's a broker of extremely high-end vehicles.
Yeah.
And it appears that he does okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we'll see if the pickiness, moves over into the fact that he is not degreed and she is, and whether that becomes an issue.
But he's an achiever.
He's an achiever, and he seems to be, intelligent and smart. So we'll see how that plays out. Yeah. Okay. How about, it would have been like too obvious to put the flight attendant and the pilot together. And they did not.
And I don't think that would have been a good pairing anyway.
Why?
Because the flight attendant is worldly in her fabric to me. And when I say that, I think she, even as fair-skinned and blonde as she wants to be, she does not gravitate toward that. I mean,
toward his type.
Right. She
did say she likes flavor.
Yeah. And, I even think she likes flavor within herself because she's not a true blonde. Not that she doesn't look bad or anything like that, but...
I preferred her as a brunette when they flashed the picture of her as a brunette. But anyway,
she might get back to it. Ain't no telling.
Who knows? So, so they ended up pairing her with Ryan, the biracial guy, who grew up, he said, in a predominantly white conservative, rural environment. And so, as freewheeling as she seems to be, he describes himself as rigid.
Well,
very routine oriented. Same thing every day. Red flag. Not bad. That's a bad thing. But same thing every day.
Everybody
very calculated.
Green smoothies every day.
Every day. And I work out every day for a certain amount of time. Every day. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they mesh.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have particular vibes about them that would, suggest I don't think that's going to work. But it's going to be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah.
Because he, is very routine oriented.
Yeah.
And as a flight attendant, you have to be more spontaneous.
True.
And more flexible.
Very much so.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Then how about, I'm leaving our red flag to last.
By all means.
So the pilot ends up with the pilot, whose name is Eric,
Yeah.
ends up with Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah. The party girl.
Right. And previously married. Eric is previously
Right.
married.
Eric's previously married, and Virginia is the single party girl who likes to drink and have fun and get drunk. And so
her words.
This is how she described herself.
Yeah.
And so, him having been married before, being more settled, again, how is that going to
Well, again,
mesh?
The adjustment.
Is she ready to settle down?
With somebody, to me, even though there's one other pair that, has an age difference, there's an age difference here of 8 years. That because of his travel, may be somewhat soothing to a certain degree, where someone that still gets out, and she didn't seem to be a loose girl. She's just a very active and vibrant and a partier, a fun type individual.
So what happens when he has to go on trips and she
gets a chance to see her friends
to go out and party?
Well, she doesn't
as she
have
did
to.
As a single person. I'm just saying.
Well, I think that is that freedom,
because that's going to be
easing into a permanent relationship for a youngster, and that's what I'm more than twice her age. That's why I can call her a youngster. But for a 26-year-old to be married at first sight, that's that borderline thing, where you're just young, energetic, and have you really found yourself in who you are and confident within yourself that you are ready to not only be married, but married to a stranger?
Yeah.
So
she might be a Woody.
Yeah.
She might be the female counterpart of Woody.
True.
Because you remember, Woody was, the party guy, the fun guy. He didn't come across as being ready for marriage, and he completely
changed,
shocked us all.
Because he was
he was very committed to the process and to his wife.
Yeah.
So maybe she will, prove to be the same way.
With it.
Alrighty then. We'll just skim right over that. Okay, corny. Anyway,
hey.
So we'll see. And the experts seem to think that him being a pilot and loving to fly and being adventurous, would make a great pairing for her. So that's another. We'll see. I'm not committed. I don't have a vibe either way.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the scenario and how it could potentially work over time.
Right. Then we have the big
no
age difference.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
Haley and what's his name? Haley and wait a minute, Jacob.
Yeah.
10 years age difference. That's
that can be significant depending on where they intend to go.
Yeah, but if she's more of a mature 28, and the experts seem to think that she is, and you even said that she kind of had a mature
demeanor
look
about
and
her.
Demeanor. Yeah. So she though seems to have a lot of relationship baggage. She described herself as having walls up. She described herself as what she wants to do, what she wants, she does, she gets. And nobody can say anything about it. So I'm wondering if, she came across as a little me-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And because she's been single for 7 years.
Yeah.
A bridesmaid 14 times. So I'm hoping that, she has gotten to a point where those walls won't be too hard to break down, because we've seen that in the past as well.
Yeah.
Again, Karen. And then the season before that, the Mika
Oh yeah.
walls,
Yeah.
just
But see, that was that
tight.
youthful thing, of, understanding yourself and being able to, compromise and, navigate your way through situations. Mika was what, 25 at the time, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Mature in
remember.
her professionalism, but having to find her way when it came to relationships.
Yeah,
You know.
but we'll
But
see,
anyway.
because Jacob is real.
Yeah.
He and now if he's used to being a hermit
Well, no, he's got
and
his
kind of
fun.
staying at home,
But he's got his toys. I mean,
but
boy, he got a pool. He even got a sandbox in the a
a
beach
beach.
in his backyard.
Yeah.
And his dogs and whatnot. One thing that just me personally, and I know a lot of guys do it,
Mm-hmm.
but him to be 38 and to be a gamer.
Yeah, because that man cave down there had a whole lot
Yeah.
of games and stuff. And gamers, not to say anything against you, but if you're a real gamer, you game whether people are there or not.
Yeah.
That's like
That's
that. It borderlines on obsession that you don't open up to let people fit in.
and maybe unfortunately that's the stigma that's attached to the word gamer.
Yeah, not saying that that's how Jacob is.
Yeah, but he
or that's how every gamer is, but that seems to be the complaint.
Yeah.
Of a partner of a gamer.
And so, we'll see,
We'll
and
see.
especially,
Again,
new
I have no real
relationships
vibe either way.
Yeah. We're just pointing out the variances or the differences that we see that are fairly obvious.
And based on how they've described themselves.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So our last couple, our mutual red flag, is Chris. And they paired him with Paige.
Paige, yeah.
Yes. He's scary. And maybe that's coming from my own place of baggage. But as he described himself, there was, I had to write them down because
let's talk about Paige first.
It was so crazy. Okay, let's talk about Paige, because he's gonna take the rest of our time. He might make us go overtime, but we can't go overtime.
No, we won't.
But they haven't they didn't say too much. Paige didn't say too much about herself.
Well, she's an accountant,
and a realtor,
spiritually minded young lady,
and she's always wanted to be married.
Yeah,
so that's a good thing. She's always wanted to be married. Yes,
so I think she's committed to the process.
I do too, but he's wanting a lot.
Yeah,
and he's wanting a lot to satisfy himself.
Yeah.
He's not wanting a lot to satisfy someone else. He's wanting a lot to satisfy himself. And that is the major red flag with Chris. Okay. Can you sense that I have an issue? Because I have an issue. Why? Well, Chris says, I want someone who's not after my money. I want someone who is submissive.
And that was the second thing he said.
Keyword.
Now, understanding.
I want someone who's sexy, good in bed, and a freak. Chris has a preoccupation with sex. And it sounds like sex from a self-gratification perspective rather than sex of I want to satisfy someone else.
Or intimacy. Between
it's all about the sex. I mean, that every time he talked, it has something to do with sex.
Yeah.
And that's scary because that reflects a person who is self-centered.
I mean, he actually said that, it would be his dream to become pregnant on his honeymoon.
Really?
Yeah.
Pregnant on the honeymoon with a stranger.
Yeah.
Okay? Max 7 kids that he's not going to carry or pop out. Sees his family as a business. His last name is a brand. Your family is a brand. He sees his family as a business where you're supposed to train the kids as replications of yourself.
So they have no identity.
They don't have their own personality desire. You're supposed to create them into mini me's. Those are all red flags.
And see this, and we're only going on what he said
about himself.
And that's what he said.
And his last and he said all of these things has made it difficult. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack. Yeah. Well, yeah, Chris. Because everything that you described and said that you wanted and how you want your wife to be would be a needle in a haystack. So maybe Paige is going to be that needle. We'll see.
Who knows? Maybe this boy just might get twisted. I mean, it happens. Well, we looked at Woody. We assumed that Woody just wouldn't.
Yeah, but for me is a totally different vibe, because I see Chris, because he had to struggle to get where he is. Mm-hmm. Because he grew up in a household where his dad was hard on him and he made it sound like his dad didn't give him really anything. Mm. So he had to fight for what he has. Yeah. And that's great. Yeah. But it sounds like it's turned into something of a power thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
dominance.
When you're bringing that, now he said, I want us to be a power couple. But I don't see a submissive wife being part of a power couple.
Exactly.
That doesn't seem to fit together.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I have to say, he's my only real red flag.
Yeah. And I mean, and as a guy, if that is his train of thought, his words, and that's all I have to go by. If that's his train of thought, then automatically that's an issue for, I think, anybody. Yeah. Because it didn't appear that there was space for a relationship. It sounded like
he's running the show.
Getting married was a wife being provided for him.
Me, right? Exactly.
That's what it sounded.
That's how it came across. That's not a good way to begin.
No.
So hopefully that's just how he came across.
A good middle or ending.
But I would say that everybody we've had a red flag about turned out to be what we
assumed that they were.
What they showed themselves to be.
There you go.
What they showed themselves to be. So anyway, there you go. Those are the 5 couples for season 12. We're excited to get into it. Next week, they'll be talking to fans who will give their predictions. Mm-hmm. And this time, I'm thinking I'm going to write those down just to see how it turns out, whether or not we're on the same page with their predictions. Yeah. But they're in Hotlanta, they're in our backyard, about 3.5 hours from where we live. So that's pretty cool. And again, we're excited to see how much we can learn through the couples of Married at First Sight season 12, watching as their relationship evolves and what that means in real life. Right. So we hope that you're going to be with us again. By the time you watch this, it's almost New Year's. So Happy New Year to you. Thank God for 2021. Yes, 2020 is just about over. We need to toss that out the window and just look ahead to a better year. But continue to stay safe. This COVID thing is raging all around us. Praise God that we've been safe. And members of our family who have had it we
hope you have been too.
Did not experience it terribly, but we've had lots of friends and people in our community who have passed away from it. So it's serious, and we hope that you're taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. You and your family, and doing what you can do to keep yourself safe and others safe as well. So we're looking forward to this season, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week. Until then, peace.
Enjoy.